Go ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. We were hopeful that we would have attendees, so thank you so much for coming out. This is our plan to be final listening session for the school board to hear from the community and staff members of what people are hopeful to see in the next superintendent for DeKalb School District. The search is on. The position went live on our website November 3rd. It is posted through November 16th. There is traction. We have applications coming in, reviewing them as they come in and contacting the applicants to let them know what information they be missing, because only full completed applications will be considered. So the 16th will be here before we know it. I can't believe it. So we want to make sure we have a strong, viable pool of applicants for the board to review and to select from. We did put a Google form out for anyone that had questions if they want to submit them ahead of time. We did not receive any questions that are appropriate for this setting. So we're going to open it up to those of you that are here and to ask questions or to share thoughts or concerns about what you are hoping to see in the next superintendent. This is a listening session, so the board wants to hear from those of you that are here so that they can respond and or take notes for consideration as they continue to move through this process. So to get started, who wants to kick us off with their first question or comment?
Can we also make sure that they know it is being recorded?
Oh, thank you, yes. So we are recording this session. This is the fourth of our listening sessions. One was for administration, another was for the unions, and then there was a third one that was for community, and now this one is for community. This one is being recorded, may be posted on our website for others to go back to watch, review, to hear how the session went, but it is being recorded. Thank you for that reminder.
Just a quick note to everybody.
They can hear you.
Sorry. Just for work obligations, so I deleted 40 after the hour, just so everybody knows.
Can I urge the board to make it public? Sorry,
You have to.
Thank you. If we are recording it, the purpose, right, is to have a record that other people could see. So I would urge the board to go ahead and commit to making it public.
Could the board members introduce themselves?
Oh, sure, I do, thank you. Everyone has to talk in the mic in order for it to be picked up for the recording, so you have to talk in the mic when you speak.
Hello, my name is
I'm sorry.
My name is Nancy Diamond.
Hello, my name is Mark Sharbat.
Chris Hoyes. Jose Jack West, or everyone knows me as JJ.
Nick Atwood.
Kristen Bailey.
We also have with us from our administration, Jackie Pringle, Executive Assistant to the Superintendent, Billy Wermo, Director of Teaching and Learning Elementary, Maurice McDavid, who is the principal of Mitchell Elementary, where we're at today, and Ben Bale, who is Director of Technology, and myself, Teacher Salas, Director of HR. Who wants to kick us off with questions or comments? Oh, no, you She may have something. Do you have a real question?
No, she doesn't.
Hi, my name is Ann Schultz. I retired from DeKalb High School in 2019 after 23 years. I think my biggest concern that I'm really hoping in a future candidate is that we have someone who listens to teachers. I think our big concern is teacher empowerment. We know that across the nation and in DeKalb County in particular, we're having trouble with teacher retention, getting high quality teachers. And so my concern is, sometimes it feels, and this was one of the reasons I felt like I was not heard as a teacher all the time, is that we have approached administration, whether it's at the building level, central office level, and you have an incredible staff of teachers, and sometimes they don't feel like they're heard. I understand that sometimes a superintendent has demands that maybe are placed on them by the state, maybe they have something that's placed on them by community, but when a group of teachers approaches an administrator, whether at the building level or the district level, and they have ideas, they try to bring solutions, and those are ignored, it really demeans the teacher. It would really be nice for a future candidate as someone who spends time with the teachers, who listens to the teachers, and embraces some of the ideas, because remember, those are the people who are in the trenches on a daily basis, and those are the ones that need the help. And sometimes, listening to some of my former colleagues, it comes out as, they're just getting passed on. So I would greatly appreciate in your search that you look for someone who is willing to listen to those teachers, because the more teachers feel they are part of that, they're going to do better for the children in our district. The children are going to feel that strength from that passion from their teachers, and that will make everybody better. So thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Judy Hager. I also am a retired teacher for almost 40 years, not in DeKalb, but I do have grandkids in school here. And I just kind of want to bounce on what she said. Sometimes the teachers are not heard, and you do have the principal or different administrators between you and the superintendent. But in my career, I found that a number of my different principals were really hesitant to bring the teachers' concerns to the superintendent because they felt it made them not look competent themselves. And so it became a block. So I would ought to encourage the superintendent to, make some rounds, get into the schools, see what's happening. I do understand they have another whole job of things they need to do, but the connection to the teachers is really, really important. Thank you.
Next.
Hi, I'm Kate Cardella. I'm a parent teacher in County. I'd like to piggyback off of both of your comments. As a current and very old teacher, I would also like to see somebody who is in the buildings, who's mingling regularly, showing up to events like winter concerts, fun fairs, somebody who is involved, somebody who's at all of the community events like the fun jams in the park, who's seen in our community, who's invested in our community, and someone who'll sit down and ask what's working and what isn't. I'd love to see someone who is really concerned with solving the problems that are in our buildings and our classrooms and looking at human beings instead of data. And I'd also really like to be able to see more teachers attending conferences and opportunities for professional development.
Next.
I feel like we're on a good run. So piggybacking off what Ms. Cardella said with community events and being in the community, as somebody that for the last 14 years has worked in social services for families and children, and currently manages a team that does a lot of going into folks' homes, having district leadership from the superintendent level be really interested in collaborating with the community. We assume that the school can fix all of the things, and that's absolutely not true. But our community is strong with outside agencies. Having that type of collaboration where we're heard and what we're seeing, and also what the district is seeing and what needs exist, will be able to bridge some of those gaps. And that's not something that I have experienced in the last few years, that type of collaboration between outside agencies and the school district from the leadership level. On the ground, there's really good collaboration because we just make it happen. but for the superintendent to lead the voice saying, hey, I need you guys to jump in here with medical services, with sharing what's seen during home visiting, what are those really intense needs, and how can other agencies address those? That type of leadership will be really important.
Okay. So we are here for the community. So this is the community's opportunity to talk and to share. So the listening is coming from everyone, especially the board, but we need to hear from you all.
What are you guys looking for here? Like, what are you looking for?
Hold on, you have to talk to the mic.
What are you looking for?
You have to talk to the mic.
Okay, so hello everybody, my name is Virginia Lester. I was previously here 3 years ago. My kids were students at the middle school, and my daughter graduated and went to DeKalb High School, where we had to move to Springfield. And at that time, I was homeless. So, and I'm currently homeless now. However, my kids are in DeKalb High School. They just got placed there. And it's a lot of things that I see that's wrong with this community. Prime example, a lot of kids are not properly taught at home. And, you know, it makes it hard for teachers because I work as a paraprofessional in the school system. I also work as a child welfare specialist in Springfield, Illinois. So I get that it's a lot of behavior that a lot of kids aren't taught at home. However, being a part of the community, I feel as though like the parents, it's hard to try to redirect children, especially if their parents don't understand or they have not been taught as well. So I see that it's like a ripple effect, learned behavior. A lot of kids respond in certain ways because it's a behavior that they've been taught at home. So how do we address those issues as a community?
Somebody from the board want to respond to that. Today's event is really about qualities or things that we're looking for in the superintendent.
Oh,
So,
that's why I asked the question.
sure, no, I'm not saying your question was not okay, but we are focusing on superintendent, qualities, characteristics and things, but somebody from the board want to address that?
I think, at least in my view, our candidate should have what Joey was talking about, a good relationship with the social services, and now we get what are called wraparound services, have those involved in the schools in the district enough to when we are dealing with situations like you're describing, they would already have those relationships built in to have the parents and the schools work together with those social services to solve that problem.
And I think that when it comes to social service,
You have to talk in the mic. It's being recorded and the camera can't pick you up, so hold on.
a lot of times when parents come to social services, a lot of times they don't know what to ask for. And so it's hard for you to ask for something when you don't know what to ask for. So that's another problem. So how do we make these parents feel comfortable to come to social services and to ask for those services?
Totally understand. That's why I said that the candidate would draw those services, have that relationship, so that way, whether it be the principal or the teacher, be able to have that connection and put the two together. So the parent, student, and social services would know what they're looking for to try to ensure the success of the student.
So I'm curious, this is for you, but anybody else who wants to chime in. What would you look for in a superintendent for someone to be able to, I guess, to help make parents comfortable, like at the superintendent level? What would you want to see? Whether it be personality traits or certain sorts of like initiatives, goals, that sort of thing. I'm just thinking about like, how do we account for what you're saying, as hiring a superintendent?
So I'm one that likes to build reports. I love to connect with children. So if I was a part of being a superintendent or something, I would build a rapport with the children. However, if I'm building a rapport with this child, I know that I have to build a rapport with this adult that's the parent of this child. So how do I, create icebreakers? I would begin to create icebreakers, something that will help me build that rapport with that person, because I know that this child is connected to this person. This child is going home with this person. So how do we make sure that, that's what I would do, build a rapport with the parents, connect with the parents, reach out to the parents, like network with the parents, do all of those things.
I'm just gonna continue to address your question. I would like to see somebody that has a lot of empathy, is able to put themselves in other people's positions, somebody that has a lot of understanding of special needs, maybe some past connection of a job that they experience working with people with special needs. Obviously, good budgeting skills, but those are obvious, but a lot of empathy, especially, with the Department of Education being cut, and concerned about special ed, somebody that's really strong in the special ed department, it's a lot of knowledge in that area. Thank you.
To go on with your question, approachability is something we haven't seen in the last, 3 years. And not just for photo ops and rub babies' heads and smile for the cameras. Approachability and understanding of what's right and just for one family is not right and just for the next family. We're not on an all equal level basis. We all have different needs and opportunities, and so an availability to be able to be reached. So that would be really important, is approachability, not only to the parents, but to the community, to the teachers especially. We just haven't seen that lately.
One of the things I would like to see, I'm a parent and I work at the university, and I actually place student teachers and clinical students in the district. So I would love to see that the new superintendent is really invested in partnering with the university, because we place dozens and dozens of students throughout all of the schools in the district. And so having a strong partnership with the College of Ed and NIU specifically is important, so we can build up those candidates, support them, and we can support your teachers in the field so that we can find replacements when your teachers retire. Because that's the reality. You're short on teachers and we have them, but let's together make sure that they're quality candidates. So I would love to see us grow that partnership.
I think one of the things that was really strong, in my opinion, when I first started at Cal back in the late 90s, was vertical articulation between the grades. We had meetings where we would have K-12 teachers focus on science, K-12 teachers focus on the humanities, and so forth with the other subject matters. And that got dropped along the way. And one of the things that I have noticed is that, let me rephrase that. One of the things I think all of us have to think about is what's our end goal? And our end goal is to have high-quality students who graduate from DeKalb High School at the end of their 13 years, right? Maybe, or preschool, so 14, right? Am I thinking right? So I would love to see a superintendent and curriculum people who would bring back that vertical articulation. Because over the years, it felt like it was middle school versus high school. High school felt kind of like the ugly stepchild because everything was driven at one grade level or another. And I would love to see that vertical articulation come back, driven so that we say, this is what we want our students to be able to excel at by the time they graduate from DeKalb High School. And bringing, because we know that, again, science teacher here, we know that science takes a hit in elementary because we're trying so hard to teach our kids to read and do math and write, but We also need to help with that thinking process with science, that thinking process with the social studies, and trying to, having high school people support elementary, middle school people to develop that background in those things, really, really important. I would love to see that vertical articulation and someone who could lead that to come back. That's one thing I would like to see.
I feel like you have to run. Can you help me understand what you mean by vertical articulation? Like, are we talking with teachers specifically? Are we talking students? Are there multiple things involved in this? I don't know that term.
Yeah, so the vertical articulation I'm talking about was the teacher groups, and they meet about maybe 2-3 times a year. One of the things that we did with the science one is we actually helped elementary select science curriculum, and then the high school teachers could then be in-district experts to sort of help elementary teachers in that area. And then, in some cases, if, we need the high school teachers need help with elementary in terms of language building, vocabulary building skills, and some, then the elementary teachers can come in and help us with that. So it was just a lot of helping. As a group, we selected textbooks. As a group, we selected curriculum. As a group, we selected, and it was really, and the other thing that was really nice about that, like by the time I left the high school, I'm sure I would have seen your face at some point if we had articulation, but you know what? I have no idea who she is. You're in the district? Oh, you're not? No, okay. But you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, sorry about that. So, that it helps build relationships among the teachers. We work together, helping pick things, and then helping to understand, what the needs are at each grade level and how we can support each other and move forward. So does that answer your question?
So coming from a perspective of both a product of DeKalb and then also a father of children here, I think one of the things that I would be looking for in this next superintendent candidate is an ability to both face our current reality and be real about the fact that we have these academic challenges, we have these rising behavioral challenges, we need to be fiscally responsible, all of those ideas. But I think on the flip side of that is the ability to tell the story of what is going so right in our district. I think unfortunately we do, as probably a nation, right, we do a lot of doom scrolling, so it's all the negative. I got a phone call the other day, this is a humble brag, got a phone call the other day from Huntley Middle School assistant principal who said, hey, talking to Maurice, the dad, can I go put a sign in your front yard, your daughter wants student of the month. And so when she got home that day, there was already a sign sitting there that said, Huntley Student of the Month. And it's those types of stories that I think are really important that we are able to tell. We are sending Nina Mitchells out into the world, right? Who was the very first Black valedictorian for DeKalb High School, went on to U of I on a full ride, and now I think is at NYU Law School or Harvard Law, right? So that's a DeKalb High School graduate, right? And those stories I think will be really important to tell as well for this next candidate.
Other comments or questions? We have an intimate group, it's fine.
I think this was sort of covered, but I just want to make sure that we also have someone who embraces all diversity. So for example, word has gotten back to me that the district has not been following through with some of the gender policy positions that have been passed, that it's not, the committee's not meeting on a regular basis. We need to make sure our schools are safe and welcoming for all children. regardless of what age they may identify. We know that trans students are really getting hit hard. There are, laws being about mental health care and, regular physical care. And so I want to make sure that whoever we bring in isn't myopic in diversity in one or two areas, but embraces all diversity, regardless of where people come from, who they are, how they identify. I just want to make sure that that candidate is really embraces the idea of, everything when it comes to diversity and equity.
We only can't get everything that we want. I would love to have somebody who has a lot of experience in the special ed world. As a parent, one of the things that was really challenging in my home, having a master's degree in education, and I sat in an eligibility meeting for my daughter, and I was in tears. And I'm a well-educated woman. So I can imagine with the parents who don't have the experience I have and have the information I have to fight the fight that I had to fight. But that scares me for a lot of the kids because my kid couldn't read. And so if we have kids that are reading, statistically, we know what happens. So we need to do something. And I know we did a lot of things, right? We read the science of reading. But you know what I heard from the teachers? That's great, we're not prepared to teach it. We don't have the information we need to do it well. So we implement things that are great, but we don't provide the support for the teachers to know how to do that. And also, we really need to do something. As an educator, I'm gonna take off the parent hat, put on the educator hat. DeKalb special ed is not well respected. I feel bad for the people that work in special ed in DeKalb. That is what I have heard from other districts and teacher candidates. And I would love to change that because I don't want that to be our reputation.
I'm so sorry, I don't know your name.
Oh, Anne.
Anne, hi Anne. So piggybacking a little bit on what Anne said, and my wife, who is not a meetings person, so if she watches this playback, she's gonna know I'm calling her out. What she had shared was she would love a superintendent that had strong and direct communication, and we have had this in the past, making strong, direct statements about, we believe, this is it, end of the line. Of course, trans kids need to be safe in our schools. And the superintendent needs to say that. They are the person that the community hears setting the tone for the school district. And I know my kids, who are not trans, but I know my kids are safe at school, that they're gonna be protected, and our queer family is gonna be honored in our family's identity. But that needs to come out from the superintendent. I just read our current method of communication from the superintendent to the families. I scrolled my phone on that quarterly newsletter. It was so long, even me who loves to read got lost in there. I would like a superintendent, and this doesn't necessarily be something that they come with, but that you direct them to make strong statements. For example, if teachers are experiencing violence from other adults, parents, that's not accepted. That we have a zero tolerance policy for teachers to be injured or attacked or experience violence from parents. And that would be a very short and clear statement setting the tone. So there are lots of things that the superintendent can make clear, sharp statements about that will help us tell our story, that this is a strong place. We believe these things. And maybe they don't come in with those skills, but that's something you guys direct that person to do. Because for the community, we believe that, but we need to hear that coming from the school district.
We need to hear that coming from the school district.
I just have So I think that a lot of times, parents, and it's just that piggybacking off of what you said about the violence. A lot of people are not aware that a lot of parents deal with mental health issues,
And it may come off as though they are violent or angry or whatever, but that may not even be the case. Like when I was working as any type of professional in the professional field, I would always put myself inside of that parent's shoes because I know what it feels like to go through some stuff. You get what I'm saying? And knowing what it feels like to go through some stuff, you will be able to help and assist, or the superintendent will be able to help and assist the parent, the child, and the school, because we also have to look out for the teachers as well, because the teachers do go through mental health things as well, especially dealing with somebody else's child all day. So I definitely get, what it is, but that's the thing that I have in this entirety.
Coming more so from just a county perspective, having been here a minute, I do think the superintendent needs to have needs to be politically savvy, and gain an understanding of how things work here. And I say that because I've lived a few other places for short amounts of time, and I know that DeKalb is a very special place. I say that with pride and sometimes with like, what are we doing? But I do think it requires just, again, I think about every year, at least once a year, there is a need to meet with other people, other leaders in the community and talk about a tax levy, right? And so how is it that we build those relationships, we build those collaborative relationships, right, with other leaders in the community. So this needs to be somebody, again, who is able to have really that political frame to understand how to make sure that things are getting done that are going to benefit our district and also demonstrate that a benefit to our district is a benefit to our community.
We're about halfway through, so we got time. More comments and questions?
All right, an ability to admit when they're wrong, and a desire to have people around them that don't just say yes.
So I've been here probably, this is I think my 19th year, so I've been through a couple of superintendents. One of the things that I like to see as a staff member is the board and the superintendent working collaboratively as opposed to against one another, because I feel like I've seen a lot of superintendents leave because of it, either leave or let them go, but I think it's something that they need to work collaboratively for the good of our students, our staff, and our families.
I'll follow up on that and ask you. What would that look like? And what, I don't know, what roles, I think I just want to leave it at that. What would that look like to you?
So for me, I hear a lot of community members saying they would love to see the visibility of the superintendent within the buildings, so the board being okay with that. I think a lot of times the board might say they're okay with it, but then there's 50 million other things that they want the superintendent to do, and they want priority of something else versus that. And our superintendent being in the buildings, being able to talk, listen to staff, build those relationships with them, being able to go out to the community, being part of the events that you all are seeing. I think we like to say that that's what we want to see, but I don't know if I've seen anybody very supported by the board doing that since I've been here.
Just to go along with you, Billy, visibility, like you said, and it's more than just in the schoolrooms, or it's Donovan, I remember one time when he was superintendent, I was at the playground, and he was at the playground with his children. It's just out in the community, involved in the community, not just our schools, our community. And to be seen, to run into at a grocery store or in a local grocery store, to run in at your local church, to run into anywhere. We just haven't seen that in a long time. And the accountability, we say we make them live here, but are they truly staying here? And so, and that would be, if they're involved in, if they're here, they're here. So they're immersed in the community.
Yeah, there's a great book that I had a chance to read in NIU's superintendency program called A Team of 8. And like that's the whole idea, right? It's like that idea of the 7 board members and the superintendent all being on that same team. And I definitely know, I can echo what Billy said. I think this is year 60 for me, mostly working here. And I think I've seen some of that opposition that has felt oppositional at times, right, between the board and the superintendent. So really, as all of them being public servants, I think that opportunity to get together. The one thing I would say in particular, right, is allowing that superintendent to administrate. And so knowing that superintendent and his or her team can solve some of those problems, and then that you guys can trust that superintendent. I think that's a big piece of that. Whoever you hire, you can trust them to do the actual administration work in the district.
I'd like to piggyback off of both your statements because I feel like they're really important. To see the superintendent at the grocery store, at the park, at Corn Fest, at a parade, at a homecoming event, is really important as a townie living here for so long. But also seeing them in our buildings and not as a gotcha moment or judgmental, but just come in here and see what we do and be a presence that when we see you, we're like, but we're comfortable and you're approachable and you guys too. I work at 2 different buildings. I'd love to see some of you at that. Come on over. But just have somebody when they come in the door that you're like, hey, and you're glad to see them because you know that they are there to help you and take it all in and see what we do.
I don't know if this is so much a question as more of just a response to what's been said. When I first started at DeKalb, I would say I was told around 60 to 70% of teachers, administrators lived in the community. And so you would have those situations where you would run into your superintendent, your assistants, your building principals, and so on. And by the time I left, it was probably around 2016, 2018, someone told me that number is less than 40% of teachers and administrators who live in the community. So I guess my question to you is, what do we need to do to let people know that DeKalb is a community to live in, that this is a place to raise your family, to educate the children of our community, and stick around and stay? And I'm sorry, I don't have the answer to that myself, but it would be interesting to interview maybe some of our teachers in the district, our administrators who live outside of town, and say, why don't you live in town? What are we not offering that you need to come here? And same for our future superintendent. If you were to be really embedded in our community, what would our community need to offer other than a job? What kind of church, if you go to a church, what kind of community activities, huge fan of public library here, what does that look like,
I'm going to read it really quickly, but I'm going to read a statement that Veronica Garcia Martinez would like me to share. She's not able to be here. She's at another event right now. I apologize for not being able to attend, but as a teacher in the district, I feel compelled to share my deep concern. Our community, including our children, their mixed status families, and our educators, is living in trauma, and the district has currently done little to address it. Many of our students live each day with the fear their parents will not return home from, their parents may not be home when they return from school, and others worry about being questioned or targeted on their way home because of their family's immigration status. As educators, we carry the emotional weight of knowing our students are suffering, yet feeling helpless to protect or comfort them in meaningful ways. When concerns were raised during the immigration raid on October 7th, our superintendent ordered us to, quote, keep teaching and to stop spreading false narratives and innuendo. Does anybody want me to read that again? No counselors were sent to check on our students or staff, even though many of us were doing everything we could to ensure our school communities were safe. We need leadership that shows compassion, not dismissal, and we need a superintendent and a school board who can recognize that education can't happen in isolation from trauma. Our students' pain is showing up in extreme behaviors, disengagement, and even hunger. We cannot expect academic success when basic emotional and human needs are ignored. Our students and staff deserve better, and it's time for the district to provide real support for those living through this community crisis, because we cannot educate students who are simply trying to survive. Again, that was from Veronica Garcia Martinez.
I apologize, I have to look at this.
I don't know, I haven't read the full school board book or what you can and can't do, but, you know, we expect you to hold that, the superintendent accountable, but are they allowed to turn around and hold you guys accountable? You hired me, this is what you expect from me, you're not allowing me to do that. So I think there needs to be accountability on both sides, you know, of the high level there. So they can do their job. If we're hiring them and saying, this is what we want, we've got to be allowed, they've got to be allowed to be able to do it.
Any response from the board or any final comments from our community folks?
There's a lot of good points that were made within the last 40 minutes. This is a listening session, so a lot of the things some of us may want to say, it's like, that's not really our role to have that conversation. We're trying to get input rather than the conversation and debate, not that we agree or disagree, whatever. We're trying to get that information from you, so we really do appreciate it. One thing I am hearing from almost everybody is what we're looking for is a truly good quality leader. Somebody who will be engaging with the community, somebody who will be all communities, inside the school, outside the school, public and outside of this community. And that is our goal. That's why we opened up the additional listening session. So it just goes to be the one, we didn't, either timing, location, whatever, so we decided to have another one. But I really appreciate, the input that we've gotten from you today, and some of us have gotten emails or stopped when we're walking through the grocery store or something, and they know who we are. But please don't feel since we're not engaging with you, we aren't listening to you.
We are taking notes from each session, and those notes will be compiled and then reviewed with the board once again before the interview process starts.
I was at the last community listening session, and at that point, we did ask for some board feedback, the community members who were there. I'm gonna ask, and if it's not appropriate, you can decline. But I would like to ask the board members on how they feel about a residency requirement for a new superintendent.
So I remember when we asked that question last time, and I'm in favor of a residency requirement. What that exactly will look like, whether it's, somebody coming from within, or whether it's someone that has, a year to move within the district if they're hired, whatever that be. Because I think one of the things that I heard everybody talking about is we want someone who's invested in this community and in this school district specifically. We want to see this person when we go out in the community. We want to know that they have a stake in this and that they're not somebody who's here not just for a paycheck, but somebody who's really entrenched in our community and cares about what's happening and understands the different people here. Because we have a very diverse community, like DeKalb is a vibe, you know, and that's what I'm here for. You know, that's why I bought my house in DeKalb, because this is a unique and special place. And we have to do better about getting the word out there for people so they can understand that. And I think, you know, that's part of why, you know, at least, you know, from my perspective, why we didn't want to do a national search or something like that. We didn't want to just outsource this job to some firm that's getting paid to shove their own candidates in our face and wants to get them hired that way. You know, we're taking on this challenge because we know what we're looking for as representatives of this community, and that's why we're listening to you now. We want to know what you want, and we're going to go out and try to find that best candidate, and we're going to own that and be accountable for that if it ends up being the wrong choice. But it's not, you know, it is important to us, and that's why we had a second listening session for the public, because we want to hear what you have to say. For those of you listening at home, send me emails. Like, I'll talk to all of you. I never don't respond when people do that. I need more information so I can make an informed choice. So that's basically my 2 cents.
So I'd say for me, it is something I would prefer, but it's not going to be the hill that I die on. And what I mean by that is, what I'm really looking for is someone who, when we look at them, are they a bar? And I think a prime example of that would be back when I was in high school, the athletic director was Tom Kim at the time. Guy lives in Sycamore. Everyone knows that. But there's not a person in the district who would have said Tom Kim is not a bar when he was here. So for me, it's a matter of, are they someone who I feel is a bar? Are they someone who I believe is going to advocate for our students to the best of their abilities? And if it means that they live 5 minutes outside of DeKalb, I don't know if that's make or break for me. Now, am I going to hire someone who lives downtown Naperville to come into DeKalb every day? I don't think that's something I would support. But for me, it's, do I feel that it's someone who's going to be the best fit for our students? And if an address is the only thing that makes or breaks that, that's not the hill that I'm going to die on.
I'm Michelle Foster, and I'm a parent of 3 kids who've been through the district, and I'm also a substitute this year. And I would say that I agree with you that they don't have to, I mean, I feel like you can say DeKalb County or something. I think that someone who said Naperville would be charged for having a standard, then it should be maybe within 30 minutes or something. I agree better to live in the city, 1000%, but perhaps what you're saying, I guess someone in Sycamore, that wouldn't be an issue to me. It's close enough. But I think that there could be an issue understanding our district and feeling like they are a part of us. Because I lived in town only 10 years, so not from here, but I identify strongly with the region now. And so I feel like there's special things about us that you can't get if you're not here every day. And I think that as, you know, going forward, it's valuable when leadership can live locally.
So it looks like our momentum has slowed down. Any final comments? All right, well, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up. Again, the application is open through November 16th. And then at that time, applicants will be reviewed by the board that meet at least the minimum qualifications and then determine next steps moving forward through the interview process. There are going to be interview teams, and if you are asked to be part of that or know someone, feel free to share any thoughts or comments with them or our board members. But thank you for coming out today. Looks like fall's really here, so sure, hold on.
So at the last community meeting, somebody, maybe it was you, Chris, shared that there's no rush, right? We wanted the process to start so we can have our best pick of who's out there. Is there a moment at the end after the interview process where if the board doesn't feel like they found the right candidate, they can go back to the table and we can open the application again? 13 days feels a little short. And I know sometimes you interview everyone you have and you may have to start over. So that's my first question. And the second one, when you say, if you know somebody on the interview committee, talk to them, share your concerns. When will the names for the interview committees be made public so that we're able to do that?
So to answer your first question, one of the fun things that we all on the board have learned is that there's two words that everyone in administration will say when we ask a question on, can you do X, Y, Z? That is at the board's discretion. So if we get to the end of the interview process and we say, this is just not the right set of people that we need to lead the district, we absolutely, at the board's discretion, can reopen the interview process to make sure that we're not just hiring someone because we feel we need to hire someone. We have competent people within Deidre and Rita, our PR lady, who are kind of really running with the ball for this. So I mean, I truly trust that we are going to get the cream of the crop when they do this interview process. And I also believe that, we have a lot of strong candidates that have already started to apply. So I'm very excited for what we're looking forward to. Now, to answer your second question, we are going to, at our next board meeting, will be our final kind of in closed session. This is the interview teams, boom, bam. We've had two different, at this point, sets of teams that have been submitted to the board. The board has reviewed, come through, said, well, how about this person? We're going to do this there. So I mean, there has been dialogue amongst the board on who we're going to have on these committees. So my goal is that we will have solidified who those committees will be by the end of the next board.
I didn't pick it up, I'm sorry. After you solidify, does that mean that you'll make it an open statement during the board meeting who the teams are, or where will the information be shared with the public?
So we do have the superintendent webpage search that we have up on the website, so that is probably going to be the most public-facing place. I don't know if anyone wants to sit there and listen to me read off 40 names at the end of a board meeting. I mean, if you do, let me know, but I think most likely we're going to post it to the website so that, it's very public-facing. Like, these are the people we picked. This is kind of the industry or whatever that they're kind of representing for the board.
They still need to accept academic.
Well, that is true. They could say no.
Can you clarify where on the website the superintendent search page is at? Do you not know? I think it's linked in two places.
So if you click, we have this one at the very top. When you go to the website now, we've got a nice box that they can click on to go right to the superintendent webpage. If you also go under our About Us area and you go to Board, there's a click down where you can then click Superintendent Search and it specifically brings you to that page.
And it's a news item on the webpage, so as you're looking at the different news items, it's one and it's clearly marked Superintendent Search. Can't be confused with anything else. So again, thank you for coming out today. We appreciate your feedback. And that's not just words. We really mean that. We will take the notes from all of these listening sessions, as well as the information that was shared on the survey that went out to the community, staff, families, everybody. And those things are truly being taken into consideration as we continue to move through this process. If you have any further comments or questions, you can reach board members by visiting our website. Go to the About Us and the Superintendent page, and you can, it's a link for their email address there. Yeah, one more.
Just a quick question on the survey. If you have two-parent households, or can each parent fill out the survey, or is it just one survey per parent?
So the survey is closed now, but at the time that it was open, anybody could fill it out to answer as many times as they wanted. We sent it to students, we sent it to families. It was posted on the website, open to the community. There was no limitations on the survey. Mm-hmm. All right, well, thank you. Have a good Saturday, a good weekend, and fall's here, so happy fall.
Do you feel like you're coming?